Hello and welcome. Tonight, bandits kill at least 5 people, including a former director at the Central Bank of Nigeria, and kidnap many others at Kwasam and Sabonlayi communities in Karu local government area of Kaduna State. The president addresses the General Assembly of the African Union, challenges leaders to redouble efforts in deepening democracy and delivering good governance. APC committee announces Dennis Idahosa as winner of the party's governorship primary election. The state returning officer declared Senator Monday Okwewolo as the party's flag bearer for the governorship poll. And Alexei Navalny's team accuses Russian government of hiding the body of the outspoken opposition leader.
On business news tonight, National Bureau of Statistics says capital importation rose to $1.08 billion in the fourth quarter of 2023. And on sports news tonight, Mohamed Salah returns in style with a goal as Liverpool beat Brentford to step up their Premier League title charge.
At least 5 people have been reported killed and many others kidnapped by bandits at Kwasam and Sabonlayi communities in Karu local government area of Kaduna State. Among the victims are a former assistant director of the Central Bank of Nigeria and his younger brother. The police are yet to confirm the incident, but the spokesperson of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, Mr. Josiah Abrax, said in a statement that the bandits attacked Kwasam community on Friday night. According to him, 50 people were kidnapped by the bandits in another attack in Sabonlayi village at the same time. He called on the Kaduna State government and security operatives to step up action against the bandits who are constantly terrorizing communities in southern Kaduna. The state government has visited the affected communities and appealed to the militaries to sustain its aggressive operations in the major flashpoints in the local government area.
We have listened to them very well. We heard them loud and clear. We will go back to the drawing board and review the situation here with an expectation on how to improve security of this general area. We have also appealed to them to double their collaboration with security agencies. Intelligence sharing is very key because intelligence will give us an edge ahead of these bandits who have been terrorizing the general area. We equally explain to them in details the measures that have been taken so far. As we are here, military and other security agencies are presently carrying out operations in this general area. We are constrained to say more about what is going on as far as the campaign against the bandit is concerned.
The president says Nigeria is ready to host the African Central Bank in line with the vision of the Abuja Treaty, as he stressed the need for African leaders to commit to deepening democracy on the continent. Addressing leaders at the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, President Bola Tinubu said his administration will engage the African Union Commission in collaboration with member states to ensure that the bank takes off as scheduled in 2028. Speaking on military takeovers in the West African region and the subsequent exit of the nations from ECOWAS, the president said disagreements over unconstitutional changes of government should not mean a permanent rupture of the abiding lines of regional affinity and cooperation.
On the theme of this year, education is essential to a durable solution to challenges confronting our continent. Help to achieve the Agenda 2063 objective of a peaceful and secure Africa. I speak Africa not only of education in terms of the benign use of science and technology to improve the material standard of our people. Africa must also become a better educated in the humane art of democratic practice and conflict resolution. This year's theme encourages us to remodel our educational system to fit these goals. In Nigeria, my administration is devoting ample resources to promoting education, including feeding our children in schools. As chairman of ECOWAS, I will say emphatically here that we seek to harm no one. We seek to collaborate with those nations in transition. Yet, we cannot submit ourselves to impasse that will create future problems to generations. We strive for a peaceful, strong, united West Africa, and our interest is bigger than that of only one single person. Thus, out of the dust and fog of misunderstanding and acrimony, we must seize the change to create an era of trust and accord. We are doing everything possible, front door, back door diplomacy, to really bring peace and stability and democratic governance to West Africa and to Africa as a whole.
Before that speech at the AU conference, the president also challenged Africa's leaders to forge partnerships that transcend borders and sectors, leveraging on collective expertise, knowledge, resources, and the private sector to address the complex challenges in the health sector. According to President Bola Tinubu, Africa's effective collaboration with the rest of the world to tackle health challenges is not merely a strategic choice, but a moral imperative. The president stated his position at the Ministerial Executive Leadership Program in Addis Ababa. In the statement by his spokesperson, Mr. Ajuringelale, President Tinubu declares, "Together, we can catalyze meaningful change and unlock new potentials and opportunities for innovation and impact in our continent. Not Africa in isolation, but a global Africa, engaged in respectful and well-considered partnerships with the rest of the world." He maintains that the challenges require a multifaceted approach involving robust investments in healthcare infrastructure, training, retraining, skilled manpower retention, improving access to essential medicine, and promoting preventive healthcare measures. President Tinubu, who was recently appointed as the AU champion for Human Resources for Health and Community Health Delivery Partnership, urged Africa's leaders to commit to concrete actions and policies that will drive positive change in healthcare delivery. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health and Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, has emphasized the need for accountability and harnessing good evidence to guide interventions to address malnutrition in Africa. The minister was speaking at a high-level roundtable on addressing malnutrition, catalyzing Africa's transformation through enhanced multi-sectoral investment, which took place on the margins of the African Union Summit in Ethiopia. The president of the African Development Bank, Mr. Akinwumi Adesina, who spoke at the event, stated that malnutrition poses a huge challenge of economic development for the continent.
This is a high-level roundtable organized by the Kingdom of Lesotho, the African Union Commission, the African Development Bank's African Leaders for Nutrition, and some development partners.
High-level roundtable.
It's taking place on the sideline of the 37th Ordinary Session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, with the theme Addressing Malnutrition, Catalyzing Africa's Transformation Through Enhanced Multi-Sectoral Investments. Opening the proceedings, The president of the African Development Bank outlines the challenge the issue of malnutrition poses to the continent.
About 63 million children are stunted. Over 12 million of them are overweight, and 3 million are wasting, meaning that they have no weight for their height. It's been estimated that the continent loses 2 to 3% and up to 16% of its GDP due to malnutrition.
He says the issue of stunted children as a result of malnutrition can lead to stunted economies tomorrow, and says a multi-sectoral national action plan is necessary.
Without strong political leadership, efforts to address malnutrition will be fragmented and will lack resources and commitment. With your support, we can prioritize nutrition as a national agenda, and funds can be allocated to a multi-sectoral national action plans. We're going to hear quite a lot about those today because you have to take a multi-sectoral approach to actually solving this problem.
The event also had a discussion segment where countries shared some of their strategies. Nigeria's Minister of Health spoke on the federal government's focus on health and human development.
For the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he puts the health, human capital, and the well-being of the Nigerian citizen at the center. Yes, growth is important, but the people matter. And that's why he created the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare and a coordinating role, because it's an inherently multi-stakeholder, multi-sectoral effort that is needed. A whole of government, whole of society approach to address these issues and harnessing the human capital so that as we grow, the prosperity that we envision should be inclusive and that our growth is not stunted, as President Adesina also mentioned.
He also talks specifically about steps to check malnutrition.
In health, what we're doing is expanding basic primary health care to deliver immunization, because measles, for instance, contributes to stunting. Frequent ailments of children, diarrheal diseases that can be addressed through the primary health care system. Saving the lives of mothers, as was said. Breastfeeding when children are born. This is in the remedy of health. Maternal anemia. Things that can be done. If you improve maternal anemia, you reduce child mortality.
The minister emphasized the need for accountability and a way of measuring and harnessing good evidence to guide interventions if the continent must address the issue of malnutrition. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
To politics in Edo State, where Mr. Dennis Idahosa has been declared the winner of the All Progressives Congress primary election ahead of the September governorship poll. The governor of Imo State, Mr. Hope Uzodinma, who heads the Edo State APC governorship primary election committee, declared Mr. Idahosa winner at the end of the collation of results, polling over 40,000 votes to emerge victorious.
Osame Osumbo, 180 votes. Blessing Abomere, 50 votes. Honorable Dennis Idahosa, 40,453 votes. Enes Afolabi Omakihe, 2 votes. And His Excellency Lucky Imasore, who withdrew, 2 votes. This is here, therefore, to certify that Honorable Dennis Idahosa, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared the winner of the primaries and is returned as the candidate of All Progressive Congress for the coming election.
In his speech after being announced winner, Mr. Idahosa thanked his supporters for his victory.
People of Edo, under the platform of APC, have spoken loud and clear. I've won the election, and the time of struggle is over. This is time for reconciliation. For those that are contested with, we are brothers, we are one family. And I'm going to start reconciliation process immediately because I need all of them to win the general election. So on that note, I want to thank the people of Edo, thank APC, thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and also thank the members of NWC.
In part two, after the break, Edo APC group announces Monday Okwewolo as winner of the primary. Plus, the chairman of the Conference of Former Speakers of Houses of Assembly appeals to members for support for the economic reforms of the president aimed at repositioning the country on the path of sustainable growth. That's in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Bandits kill at least 5 people, including a former director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and kidnap many others at Kwasam and Sabunlai communities in Karu local government area of Kaduna State. The president addresses the General Assembly of the African Union, challenges leaders to redouble efforts in deepening democracy and delivering good governance. APC committee announces Dennis Idahosa as winner of the party's governorship primary election. The state returning officer declared Senator Monday Okwewolo as the party's flag bearer for the governorship poll. And Alexei Navalny's team accuses Russian government of hiding the body of the outspoken opposition leader. While Governor Hope Uzodinma was announcing Mr. Idahosa as winner of the elections or of the primaries in Edo State, the state returning officer for the APC primary also declared Senator Monday Okwewolo as the winner of the primary. Earlier, thugs had invaded the venue of the results announcement after the results of 8 of the 18 local government areas of the state had been declared. They descended on the venue, disrupting the process and chasing journalists out of the place. The state APC leaders condemned Governor Uzodinma's declaration of Mr. Idahosa as winner, maintaining that his office as chairman of the election committee is only ceremonial.
Started the exercise ab initio before we were attacked, and majority of my committee members were beaten to pulp. Some are presently receiving treatment in the hospital. You can look by my right-hand side, very senior members of this great party who have worked tirelessly for the progress of this party, being attacked in the course of rendering a selfless service to our great party. This is totally unacceptable. APC is a party of peace, a party of unity, and will continue to propagate that features in line with the lofty ideals of the founding fathers of our great party. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, due to paucity of time, we must conclude this exercise. Dr. Blessing Agbomere scored 834. General Charles Evarabe, retired, scored 919. Very distinguished Senator Professor Osareme Osubo scored 688 votes. Senator Monday Okwewolo, having scored the highest number of vote cast, is hereby declared and announced as the gubernatorial flag bearer of our great party, APC, for the first term.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kennedy Yeri has emerged as the candidate of the Accord Party following his primary election also in Edo State. He was announced as the party's flag bearer after 5 other contestants for the ticket stepped down for him. Mr. Yeri says he believes his comrades stepped down for him purely on merit and that he's prepared to lead the Accord Party into the governorship election.
In economics, there is what we call the rule of law of comparative advantage. We just enforced it. Let the fittest survive it. I'm here. They are my allies, and we are together in the struggle until we get to Osadebe's house. Ideally, I was not meant to be in the race. By the grace of God, in the past till the present time, I have met a lot of governors, a lot of senators, federal House members. Across the political arena, especially as regarding the APC and the PDP, they know me, a lot of them tell me. Sitting governors, they tell me. The reason is because of capacity, that's the word. My capacity will play out, and the people will see. That is it.
To other stories now. The chairman of the Conference of Former Speakers of Houses of Assembly of Nigeria, Mr. Solomon Lalong, has appealed to the members to support the economic reforms of the president, which are meant to reposition the country on the path of sustainable growth. Mr. Lalong, who was a former Speaker of the Plateau House of Assembly, made this appeal at a meeting of the forum in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. According to him, as painful as some of the measures taken are, they will eventually benefit the country and correct structural distortions in various sectors of the nation's economy.
The Conference of Former Speakers of State House of Assembly of Nigeria was established in 1999 with the purpose of bringing together former speakers with a view to harnessing their experiences and embark on advocacy for good governance. This meeting, which is holding in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, has in attendance serving governors, serving past members of the National Assembly, as well as current and former speakers of state houses of assembly. The host governor, Umaru Fintiri, who was at some point in his political career the Speaker of Adamawa State House of Assembly, describes the Conference of Former Speakers as a forum for strengthening the nation's democracy.
Our organization is a gathering of the leadership of one of the largest and most important political families in Nigeria. It is unique in its own way when we reflect on its role in shaping and deepening democracy and good governance in the country. The most interesting thing about this forum is the fact that it is both large and big. It is large because it has the numbers. It is big because it has the influence to cause any change in the quality and capacity to exert necessary impact on the politics of this country. It has and shall continue to play a very active role in the business of building Nigeria.
Next, the chairman of the forum and former governor of Plateau State, Mr. Solomon Lalong, explains that the forum has done a lot in the area of advocacy, especially on the issue of financial autonomy to the judicial and legislative arms of government.
We have to continue to encourage the strengthening of democratic institutions under the spirit of the separation of powers as enshrined in our Constitution. In particular, the autonomy of the state legislatures should be of paramount importance to us based on our experiences. Today, we have financial autonomy for legislators and even judiciary. You will agree with me that in spite of the fact that we come from different political parties and even varying ideologies, we must be able to unite and stand for issues that will encourage national cohesion, peace, prosperity, and good governance.
The governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborewori, and his Ebonyi State counterpart testified to the fact that being former speakers in their states have given them the impetus to do better as governors.
When you make a member of the House, give you opportunity, somebody who has been a speaker, you give you opportunity to serve as a governor, is something that is a good experience. Because as a lawmaker, you know what the state wants, what is good for the state.
What I am seeing today surprised me. And I'm very grateful to God that is coming from the former speakers. We have been the chief servants. All of us here have been chief servants of various states. But the ability to navigate and get it right is what made us what we are.
The meeting proceeds into an executive session where deliberations and decisions are to be used for as a means for the pursuit of good governance.
In the meantime, members of the House of Representatives Committee on Media and Publicity Affairs have promised to continue to use new and creative ways of engaging members of their respective constituencies and the general public. The chairman of the committee made this known during a two-day inaugural retreat in Lagos. The summit is in partnership with Yaga Africa, with support from the European Union.
And they need to grant media interviews, and they need to communicate on Instagram.
Members of the Media and Publicity Affairs Committee of the House of Representatives are in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial nerve center, for a retreat.
To effectively communicate as a member of the House of Reps, you need to be able to communicate your own personal ideology, but maybe also you need to be able to have that difference in perspective and ideology put forward. Because what we have
It's the maiden retreat for the committee in the 10th Assembly.
APC, for example.
We are representatives of the people, and by this training, we are meant to develop tools and strategy that will relate with the Nigerian public on the way the House of Representatives are playing their roles and the policy of the government.
The essence of the convergence, which is in partnership with Yaga Africa and the European Union, is to re-strategize the media and communication tools for the House, which is made up of more than 70% new members.
You ask the average person, what's in these reps they do, sir? What's in this National Assembly they do, sir? Those are issues we want to address, because the perception is very far from the reality. The 10th Assembly particularly, which is made up of over about 70% of new members, were cut from a different cloth. Even though we have different political parties represented, for the first time we have 8 parties in Parliament represented, yet we're unified on the simple premise that we want to make a difference.
Participants are taken through different sessions, including the role of the new media and how to harness it for feedback purposes.
If you look at the role of the legislature, they have 3 basic functions: lawmaking, oversight, and representation. So you cannot represent the people when you are not in touch with them. So we are out to see that the legislature has this feedback mechanism that will enable it to aggregate views of the people for the purpose of legislative functions.
Yaga Africa promises to make this summit a regular one for the overall purpose of bridging the communication gap between federal lawmakers and their constituents.
5 trucks loaded with cement have been intercepted by the army on the Adamawa State axis of the Nigeria-Cameroon border. The trucks have been handed over to the police and are being investigated to ascertain the legality of the movement on the border. The Adamawa State government has reiterated its resolve to clamp down on smugglers of building materials out of the state, just as the police command says it's committed to the enforcement of the law. The Joint Task Force Operations Delta Safe says the 6.9% increase in crude oil production observed between December 2023 and January this year was achieved due to the efforts of the JTF in protecting national crude oil production assets. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, recently announced the rise in the nation's crude oil production. The new commander of the JTF, Rear Admiral John Okeke, while addressing officers while taking over the command, challenged them on new strategies to win the fight against crude oil theft. The event took place at the headquarters of the operation in Bayelsa State.
We must do our utmost best at all times to curb the menace of crude oil theft, which is the sole purpose of establishing this operation. Of course, not losing sight of other illegal criminalities within our joint operation areas. According to OPEC, Nigerian oil production has risen from 1.34 million barrels per day in December 2023 to 1.43 million in January 2024, indicating an increase of 6.9%, which of course is attributable to so many factors especially the nation's successful battle against oil theft, of which OPDS is critical. So, gentlemen, I implore us to always know this fact that we must strive to achieve our mandate.
Still ahead on the news at 10. National Bureau of Statistics says capital importation rose to $1.08 billion in the fourth quarter of 2023. That's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, has reiterated the commitment of the Nigerian Army to combating threats to national unity, whichever form or shape these threats may take in the 2024 operational year. The Army Chief stated this at the Mogadishu Barracks in Abuja, where the Nigerian Army marked the 2023 West Africa Social Activities WASA, which is an annual celebration by the Army to strengthen existing bonds amongst different ethnic groups within the military. The Chief of Army Staff, who took the opportunity to express his appreciation for the sacrifices of men and officers of the Nigerian Army, gave them the assurance of the Army's leadership to improve on their training and welfare.
The myriad of security challenges facing the nation are constantly mutating and have defied most known solutions. In the face of the daunting security challenge we face across the country, it is worth noting that the Nigerian Army, in conjunction with its sister services and other security agencies, has worked assiduously to ensure that all threats to our national security are contained. I believe that with the alignment of purpose between the government, the people, and our security agencies, we shall soon see light at the end of the tunnel of our security challenges.
Business activities have resumed at a popular supermarket in Abuja, Saad Stores, which was sealed yesterday by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, for allegedly engaging in what the agency calls misleading pricing. The agency had said it had earlier invited the supermarket management to defend the allegation, but the members failed to show up. The acting executive vice chairman of the agency, Mr. Adamu Abdullahi, explained that businesses are expected to display transparent pricing information to enable consumers make informed decisions before making a purchase. He warned businesses participating in activities contributing to price gauging in the food chain sector to desist or face the full wrath of the law. In Lagos, the Building Control Agency has commenced the demolition of illegal structures on the island after the expiration of a 14-day ultimatum issued to traders. The joint exercise was led by the Special Advisor on Electronic Geographic Information System and Urban Development, Mr. Olajide Babatunde, who warned that the shop owners will be fined if government continues to remove the structures on their behalf. He adds that the government has concluded plans to move traders at the Computer Village as well as other traders selling on the road in Ikeja to Katangwa Market in Abulegba area in Lagos West.
2 weeks after the ultimatum issued by the Lagos State Building Control Agency for illegal shop owners on the island to remove their structures, the enforcement team is back in full force around the Mandalas building, part of which was recently gutted by fire. This time, not even one unapproved extension is spared. It's a sober moment for some of the traders who try to salvage their goods or lock up their shops. They say the property owners should have been engaged before the demolition exercise.
I thought by now, if they come, they will ask some of our landlords or take their attention while coming. Because we, tenants, we can't do anything.
I still see the government intervention on the positive side, coming to create access road into the market. So that in the event of such happening tomorrow, that there will be access road for emergency rescue.
The urban regeneration of the central business districts is a priority for the state government, and the special advisor on the Electronic Geographical Information System and Urban Development says there is no going back on this decision.
They disrupted their own business. You know, when you are giving instructions, do X, Y, Z, and you are giving 2 weeks ultimatum, you will agree with me that it's enough time for them to carry out the compliance issues. Because since they haven't done it, we have to close the market because it's safety first. We are trying to reorganize all our markets. The computer village is being relocated. So we're relocating them to Katangwa. We're moving those people who seem to be on the road in Ikeja, also obstructing traffic, into a proper market, big enough with all the services.
Despite several warnings against placing generators close to their shops, the practice persists, leaving the team with no other option than to bring it down.
Because they put a shop underneath and they now put generator on the top. Where that shop is, generator can sit there. We want all the generators to come down. No generator should be on the first floor. Talk first of going to the second floor.
Today is also given a final notice to remove all their goods from the extension. Tomorrow, lab officers are moving in. We will help them remove the extension, and they will have to pay for that exercise. Government is in business for pro bono business.
According to the enforcement team, this cleanup is critical for the government to create access roads for first responders to address emergency issues. And the Lagos State government says the trading area visited will be closed for 2 days in order for them to carry out the exercise effectively.
Following the hike in the electricity tariff this year, Nigerians have argued that the move is insensitive considering the high cost of living in the country. Some business owners are lamenting about the impact on the hike, not just on their businesses, especially coupled with the removal of fuel subsidy, but on their families as well. The hike became imperative as the federal government revealed that it was no longer sustainable to continue to subsidize electricity tariff. In this next report, our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, looks at the impact of the hike on households and businesses.
In January of 2024, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, approved new electricity tariff for the 11 distribution companies in the country. This is coming months after the federal government announced the removal of fuel subsidy on premium motor spirits. The impact of these policies is felt in the economy, especially businesses.
There are two issues to this. The first question we need to answer ourselves is this. The increase in tariff, does it bring efficiency in electricity supply? That is a no. Now, what is the ripple effect of the increase? An increment without efficiency. That means we're still back to square one. There is no, justifiable reason for the increment in the first place. If we are enjoying full electricity and you are increasing the price, you know what you are increasing the price for. But now, production is either decreasing or at the same level, and you are talking about increasing tariff. They want to say, what are you talking about? Then what am I going to do in order to sustain a level? Look, it's so funny that most of these policies that comes up, the burden is always on the final consumer.
Families and small businesses feel the pinch of the hike.
Light is quite expensive because we are paying tariff of 68 naira 61 kobo per unit, which is very high for business.
It's really terrible because less than 6 months ago, for 1,000 naira you could get 35 units, but now that same 1,000 naira gives just 18.5 units. I can't remember when last I put on my gen because of the cost of fuel. So it's us against nature now because solar is a no-go area.
In a month, you recharge 20,000 naira.
because it's prepaid. We use prepaid meter. Like, for instance, this Harmattan period, we recharge 20,000, but during heat period, we recharge more than that.
Before, we can use 10,000 naira to sub our light, and it will take us for the whole of the month. But now, due to the increase in tariff, it's no longer like that. When you sub 10,000 naira, it will not even take you up to a week. The thing will finish. So the thing is affecting us seriously.
All the tariff that then increase, it affects so many things. About our price was what we are selling, about everything, because so many things we are doing about electricity. Even the materials we are buying, they are using electricity. So all of that is called increase in market of the market we are buying. And you know what we sell and what we buy is what we are going to sell to our people.
The increasement of the tariff of the light does not have any positive effects. It does not have any positive effect on us. As you can see now, this is my shop. And as you can see, we don't even have lights now. Thank God you come at the right time.
According to the NERC, the increment is in compliance with the multi-year tariff order, which contains the appropriate tariff that distribution companies should be charging if they are to remain in business. The idea of the order is to ensure that due to the cost of living crisis, consumers will not be made to pay higher than the previous rates. However, the Commission puts the estimated cost of electricity subsidy at 1.6 trillion naira for 2024. Yet, not all Nigerians enjoy the subsidy, especially those in higher class of tariff breakdown, which are those that enjoy steady supply for at least 12 hours a day.
It's a pricing that...
Even at that, the federal government is considering continuation of subsidy on electricity.
Sincerely, we should review the tariff upward. But whether we're going to pass everything on to the customer or government is going to share from it is what we are trying to do. Yeah. As it is today, Nigeria pays less than half for electricity of what our neighbors pay. Benin Republic, Sierra Leone, Niger, Ghana, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, they pay more than twice what Nigerians pay for power.
Nevertheless, the federal government believes that the Electricity Act signed by President Bola Tinubu in 2023 presents an opportunity for states to make laws and take charge of providing electricity in their franchise areas. Hopefully, this will impact the cost of electricity supply if states can make their investments in the sector. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
From the business world, here's Will Ibong.
Thank you, Melinda. We begin with the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, which shows that Nigeria's capital importation rose in the fourth quarter of 2023 to $1.08 billion, a slight increase of 2.62% when compared to the same period in 2022. Breaking out the inflows, other investment emerged as a leading contributor, accounting for 54.64% of the total, followed by portfolio investment with 28.46% and foreign direct investment, FDI, with 16.9%. In terms of sectors, production manufacturing took the lead, attracting $450.1 million, constituting 41.35% of the total capital imported, followed by the banking sector at $283.3 million and financing with $135.59 million. United Kingdom emerged as the primary contributor, accounting for 24.55%, followed by Mauritius and the Netherlands. Lagos State retained its position as the top destination, capturing 65.38% of the total capital importation, followed by Abuja and Rivers States. Now, Nigeria's FX reserves saw some appreciation this week. Data from the central bank shows that the gross reserves increased by $96.05 million to $33.21 billion as of February the 14th. This comes as the CBN sold about $170 million to banks during the week. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in its recent report, has forecast Nigeria's foreign reserve to fall to $24 billion this year. And speaking of forex transactions, market trading activity at the FMDQ exchange closed negative this week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot, forwards and futures markets dipped by 56.24% to close at $1.065 billion. A further breakdown shows total value of transactions at FX spot market dropped by 48.23% to $1.063 billion, while transactions at the FX derivatives market also fell by nearly 1% to $2.24 million. Also, the value of the naira depreciated further by 4.88% to 1,514 naira 29 kobo against the dollar at the official NAFEX window. Back home, positive sentiments. We're talking about Nigeria's domestic equities return to positive sentiments this week as investors re-entered the market. We saw, despite profit-taking activities on banking stocks earlier this week, the markets remain in the green territory due to bargain hunting in Boa Foods, Airtel Africa, and Geregu. As a result, the all-share index advanced by nearly 3.8% week-on-week, with the month-to-date and year-to-date returns increasing to 4.5% and 41.4% each. Activity levels, however, remained weak as the trading volume and value declined by 36.8% and 23.8% week-on-week. Analyzing by sectors, we see the consumer goods, oil and gas, and insurance indexes advanced, while the banking and industrial goods indexes declined. Julie PLC topped the gainers chart for the week, while Mayor PLC led the decline in stocks. Meanwhile, the trio of UBA, FBN Holdings, and Guaranteed Trust Holdings Company topped trades by volume. Similarly, the NASD unlisted securities market closed in green territory. The index rose by over 1.6% to close at 1,157.26 points. However, turnover for the week was negative. Volume fell by 83.79%, while the value traded dropped 61.52% to 373 million naira. Aecon Petroleum recorded the most significant gain as it rose by 10% to close at 1 naira 10 kobo. Geofluids followed on that list, as well as Aradel Holdings. Industrial and general insurance led the underperforming stocks with an 8.33% downtick. Also in that category, we see Central Securities Clearing System. Meanwhile, Geofluids topped trades by volume as a result of investors' buy interest. And that's a wrap on Business News. It's back to Melinda for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Will. And for the latest from the world of sports, let's cross over to our Abuja studios where Victoria Longjohn is standing by.
Thank you, Melinda. Welcome to Sports News. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Mfubara has said his administration will sustain purposeful governance and administrative efficiency as it is helping the people of the state engage in ventures that bring honor. Mfubara spoke when he hosted the Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali, who participated in the just concluded Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. The governor bestowed Nwabali with the honor of Distinguished Service Star of Rivers State and rewarded him with a cash gift of 20 million naira. In a related development, players and officials of the Nigeria Premier Basketball League, the Rivers Hoopers, also got 50 million naira from the state governor.
I will give you almost the biggest one. Just that I won't give you my own. Because my own, you have to be a governor to get it. But the one I'm giving to you will rank like every other one I bestow on you. All the formalities will be done later. Distinguished Service Star. Whoa. As for the River Tupa, I'm not giving you that one. No. Don't worry. I know that if you like money, I'll give you 50 million. for our star boy. We need to make your legs strong too. We will support you with the sum of 20 million.
And in the English Premier League, Mohamed Salah scored and assisted off the bench on his return as Liverpool defeated Brentford 4-1 to remain top of the table. Rodri dramatically rescued a point with a late leveller for Manchester City to deny Chelsea victory. Bukayo Saka scored twice as Arsenal continued their blistering goal-scoring form to thrash Burnley 5-0. Howell Gomez scored twice as Wolverhampton Wanderers gained an excellent win at Tottenham. Matt Ritchie's first goal since 2020 earned Newcastle United a point and denied Bournemouth their first top-flight victory of 2024. Ollie Watkins scored twice as Aston Villa bounced back to winning ways with a narrow victory at Fulham. Meanwhile, Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp hopes Mohamed Salah's goal-scoring return to action in Liverpool's 4-1 win at Brentford proved the injury-hit Premier League leaders can cope without their wounded. But the victory came at a cost as Curtis Jones and Diogo Jota were both lost to what looked like significant injuries in the first half. Jones left the stadium on crutches after injuring his ankle, and Jota departed on a stretcher, whilst Nunes was also withdrawn with a knock. Klopp was pleased with the resolute way Liverpool ignored the injuries to secure the first league win at Brentford since the West Londoners were promoted in 2021. And Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag has maintained that it is up to his team to prove they share the ambitions of the new owners Ineos. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is set to take a 25% stake in the club after the Premier League and the English Football Association granted their approval to his investment. Sir Ratcliffe will appoint Omar Barada as chief executive, while Dan Ashworth is the favourite to be appointed sporting director. Ten Hag feels the spirits have been raised at Old Trafford and admitted he and his players have illustrated they belong in the new era.
You feel that ambition. And that brings a mood and that brings a spirit in this club. I think it brings a mood and a spirit what belongs to this club. And I think the players, the staff are very aligned with the ambitions of Ineos, because that's why we are here. That's why we are playing for Man United. We want to win and we want to achieve the highest. So, yeah, we are very aligned, and we have to make strategies, and we have to execute the strategies to prove the ambitions.
And that's it on Sports News. It's back to you, Melinda.
And thanks, Victoria. News just in says the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Works, has announced that the Iyano-Woro-Soki to Lagos end of the third mainland bridge in Lagos will be closed for motorists for 24 hours, beginning from 12 midnight on Sunday, February the 18th. A statement by the Federal Controller of Works Lagos, Olukorede Kesha, says traffic will resume on Monday by 12 a.m. on this axis of the bridge. The statement, however, adds that motorists coming out of the island and heading towards Oworo-Soki will have full access throughout the 24-hour closure. According to her, the temporary 24-hour closure of the Iyano-Woro-Soki-Adeniji-Adele bound traffic is to enable the ministry carry out effective repairs on an important section of the bridge. On the international scene, Senegal is set to hold the presidential election as soon as possible after the Constitutional Council overturned President Macky Sall's decree to postpone the vote from its original February 25th date. The panel acknowledged that the date is no longer feasible, but ordered the government to act quickly. In a statement, the presidential spokesperson, Mr. Yoro Dia, gave the assurance that the government intends to comply fully with the council's decision, though he did not specify when. Senegal has been seen as one of the region's most stable democracies until election disputes plundered into political turmoil that sparked widespread protests in which at least 3 people were killed and security forces had injured dozens of others. In an effort to calm the public, the government has released several hundreds of political prisoners this week. Russian opposition leader Mr. Alexei Navalny's mother is reported to have been unable to recover her son's body after his death in an Arctic jail. An associate of Navalny said his mother was told his body would only be handed over after an autopsy had been completed. Mr. Navalny's team believes the anti-corruption campaigner was murdered on the orders of President Vladimir Putin. A rights group said 300 Russians had been arrested for laying tributes. Western governments say the blame lies with Russian authorities for the 47-year-old's sudden death, while foreign ministers from the G7 group of rich countries called on Russia to urgently clarify the circumstances surrounding his death. However, Mr. Putin has not publicly commented since Navalny's death was announced on Friday. And the main news again. Bandits today killed at least 5 people, including a former director of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and abducted many others at Kwasham and Sabunlai communities in Karu local government area of Kaduna State. And President Bola Tinubu has addressed the General Assembly of African Union. He challenged the leaders to redouble efforts in deepening democracy and delivering good governance in their countries. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Akinlami on behalf of the team. Good night.